Hello again, everybody. I'm your host, Felipe, and you're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. And with me, as always, it's Mr. Sean Flannery. Sean, how are you doing this morning?
I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. If you hear me cough, sneeze, whatever, yell at me. I apologize. But we're gonna try and grind through this.
Yeah, we're both a little bit under the weather today. Me not as much as Sean, but me, I guess this is what they call a hangover at my advanced age, and I don't dig it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So, but we're gonna get through this. We have a lot of baseball to cover today. A lot of questions that need answering, and we have a couple of series that we need to recap, Sean. The National League Championship and the American League Championship Series. We're going to do the whole unsung hero thing. You do the pitchers, I'll do the hitters.
Got it.
And let's start with the Phillies, since it's the first team I'm looking at here. And let's see, who was their WPA leader? It was Bryce Harper. Duh. That's why he gets paid.
Go figure.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. But an unsung hero, not a lot to choose from because it is the Phillies. It's a very top-heavy team. This is what the Angels wish Mike Trout could do for the Angels. Just have the superstar player at the top and a bunch of overpriced free agents and a bunch of no-name prospects, like Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm. But let's go with Bryson Stott. He had a 0.09 WPA, so nothing too big happening, but he did enough to be relevant. He had 3 doubles and went 4 for 15 in the National League Championship Series. That's a name that most people shouldn't know about, but he basically, from what I remember, he came out of nowhere to take over at shortstop for the Phillies earlier this season, right? Is that how it was?
Well, he was I think he was a top 100 former first round pick out of the Vegas area.
Yeah.
But yeah, they entered the season with Didi Gregorius, and everyone kind of knew that the patience was running very thin there. They finally gave Bryson Stott a chance. Didi was released. Bryson Stott struggled, was demoted. They went out and they got Edmundo Sosa from the Cardinals. But when they brought Bryson Stott up the second time around, he performed much better. I'm not sure if he sticks at shortstop. I think he might, just because they don't have many other options.
Right.
But nice little lefty bat, good walk rate, lineup glue. I mean, I've been catching up on a lot of Eno and DVR's positional reviews, and I haven't listened to their podcasts in forever. I've just been grinding audiobooks at work. But Bryson Stott is very much oatmeal, as they would say.
Oh.
Like he's lineup oatmeal. Like he won't do anything great, but he'll get on base a couple of times. Good speed, okay glove. My worst case scenario as a Mets fan is if Bryson Stott turns into like Chase Utley. That would make me very scared.
I don't see it. That's why I kind of was very blasé about Bryson Stott. I mean, he had a pretty mediocre series, but like I said, it's a positive win probability added, not negative. You want to hear negative 0.27 out of Brandon Marsh in that series. He went 0 for 13 with 7 strikeouts. That's the complete opposite of what this whole activity is. But so Bryson Stott wasn't a positive. But I don't know. Every time I see him, it's like you said, it's oatmeal, and it's very nothing. I don't get excited about him, but he did a lot better than he did in the regular season. Bryson Stott did. I mean, he hit 267 in the series, 234 in the regular season, 733 ops in the series, 653 ops in the regular season. So he obviously did better than he did all season long against the Padres. And no doubt his contributions helped the Phillies advance to the World Series. Who's the Phillies pitcher you wanted to talk about today?
I just wanted to say one more thing on Bryson Stott. I just compared him and Chase Utley's minor league numbers. Just why not? Why not? Right?
Sure.
Chase Utley only had an 815 OPS in the minor leagues. Bryson Stott batted 300 with a 389 on base, 495 slugging for an 885 OPS. So maybe there's that talent just hidden away, tucked in there. Just got to go dig in and find it, right?
I remember getting very excited for Chase Utley way back in the day. I used to it would drive me crazy that the Phillies I think the manager was David. No, it might have been Charlie Manuel, or who was the guy before Charlie Manuel? That
I know Boa would have been there because Boa was
yeah,
there for like years.
it must have been Larry Bowa, a combination of the two, where they just refused to play Chase Utley on a regular basis. And why are you crazy? Just get him in there. But no, they needed to play Placido Polanco and David Bell every day. So
Hey, Placido Polanco, friend of the show. You know, we looked up that he actually had good like major league numbers, but it was because of the years and the environment he played in. He was like a 300 or 298 hitter and a below league average in terms of WRC plus.
Yeah,
I'll always remember that about him.
He's a solid player, but I don't know. He ain't no Chase Utley.
But yeah, manager of the 2003 Phillies when Chase Utley made his debut was Larry Bowa. That was a shock because I remember Larry Bowa as like the bench guy with Charlie Manuel. So
yeah, Larry Bowa got a chance to be a manager, and I don't think he did that well. So at least my biased opinion, he should have been starting Chase Utley day one. But no, he wanted to have David Bell out there every day, and obviously, Chase Utley wasn't going to play shortstop, and first base was already taken. Can't play outfield, so he's out of luck. He has to play those veterans. Yeah. Anyway, who's the pitcher that you were going to talk about right now?
Let's bring up the pitching because this one was a little bit easier to do. With Aaron Nola having a bad game, they really needed to rely on their third starter, who had a lot of hype going into last year. As he spent the first half of last year in the bullpen, then in the second half, he was in the rotation, had like a sub-2 ERA. Everyone's like, wow, this guy's really good. Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
And I like the potential. I just worried about a guy who relied so much on pitching to contact in front of that defense. Had some struggles this year in 2022, but came up clutch in his NLCS start. He went 5 2/3 innings, and I think there was even a relief pitching appearance there because it shows 2 games appeared in. But yeah, when you have Aaron Nola give up 6 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings, you definitely need a start like that from the Ranger Suarez of your rotation. So,
yeah, Ranger Suarez came in with a lot of relative hype this season. He was moving up a lot of people's charts for starting pitching depth and starting pitching sleepers list and stuff of that nature. So it's good to see that he actually lived to some of that potential. He had let's see what he had, 10-7 record with a 3.65 ERA, 129 strikeouts and 155 innings with a 1.33333 whip repeating. And yeah, he showed up big time for them as he gave fits to the San Diego Padres. 5 2/3 solid innings from him. So that's a really good pick. I'm glad you mentioned him.
I was hoping to have him on some of my fantasy teams this year.
Same, yeah.
But it ended up he was going way higher than like Marcus Stroman, and I was like, they're the same person. Like they're low strikeouts, and at least with Stroman, like the whip is usually a little bit lower, and he was playing in front of a better defense. But yeah, that was a guy I targeted, and I just never got him in drafts because the price just kept going up all draft season.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. And because I was also targeting him too late in drafts, and he kept going a lot sooner than I anticipated. And I like him, but I don't like him that much. I mean, where did I rank him way back in the beginning of the season? Let's find out. Let's see. We got Ranger Suarez. He was hidden behind the search thing. Okay, he was any ranked between my 61st and 90th pitchers. So 61 plus 19. So I guess he was the 80th.
61 plus 19, 80. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 80th. Thanks for the math. Who needs Austin? I don't need Austin to be my calculator here. So Ranger Suarez, I had him ranked ahead of guys like Tristan McKenzie, Kyle Gibson, Marco Gonzalez, John Means. You say Kikuchi, but I say Kakachi, Brady Singer, Andrew Haney, Cal Quantrill. It's I don't know, man. Those guys, just lump them in together, except for Tristan McKenzie. Lump all those guys together, and you get like some sort of result that's with little variance and pretty much identical, if not very similar types of pitchers. Should I keep going? Because the list keeps getting interesting.
Okay, yeah, go a few more.
Casey Mize, Carlos Carrasco, Chris Paddock, Aaron Savali, Corey Kluber, Zach Plesac, Nestor Cortez.
Nestor Cortez I had on my the relegation league that I won that had like the 5 different leagues. I had Nestor Cortez, and he was like so late in the draft, and I just picked him. I was like, whatever, like he's cool. And on that team, I had Sandy Alcantara, Kevin Gossman, Nestor Cortez, a couple other guys. They never got hurt, and they just pitched all year. I think I maybe added one starting pitcher the entire year. And I've never had to do that in a roto league before. It was just those starters are saying that is it. Yeah. But yeah, Nestor Cortez was a huge part of that. Well, that's funny that he was getting that low on your rank.
Yeah, because it's all based on projections and trying to figure out is he real? I've only heard about this guy for one season. Was that a real what we saw last year, or was that a fluke? And the other guys I just mentioned, I mean, like a Carlos Carrasco, there's a little bit of an establishment thing going with him. I mean, let's talk about it. I know Tristan McKenzie, right? He's at the top. He's better than Ranger Suarez, right?
Yeah.
At least, okay, potentially. Okay, so Ranger Suarez or Kyle Gibson?
Ranger Suarez.
Or Ranger Suarez or Marco Gonzalez?
Oh,
I think I would go Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, probably Ranger Suarez. Granted, Marco Gonzalez was having like a terrible year, and he still ended up with like a high 3s, low 4 ERA.
And he's durable as hell for some.
Yeah, I mean, like he just throws.
Thing. John Means is left-handed too, right?
Yes.
Another lefty, John Means. John Means or Ranger Suarez?
John Means when he's healthy. Yeah.
I think I'll stick with Ranger Suarez. John Means had what, Tommy John surgery, was it, or shoulder?
Yeah, Tommy John.
Yeah, I'll stick with Ranger Suarez. I always like the healthy arm. Yusei Kikuchi or Ranger Suarez? All the lefties out here.
Yeah, Ranger Suarez because Kikuchi ended up in the bullpen.
Okay. Brady Singer or Ranger Suarez? I think I would go with Brady Singer here.
I always confuse the Royals. The Singer was the one that actually had a good year. Yeah. Singer.
No, he actually had a continental year. Pirelli here. It was what's another tire brand? Shit, Michelin.
Michelin, good year. Ha. Wow, that was a good one, Felipe.
Michelin star rating here. No, Brady Singer was the one who kind of broke out this season.
Yeah, he finally had a good year.
Even though he had a low 90s fastball throughout the year. Okay, so we're going with Brady Singer here.
Yeah, I'd probably take Brady Singer over Ranger Suarez.
Got another lefty for you, Andrew Heaney or Ranger Suarez?
That's an all. Where does Andrew Heaney end up? Andrew Heaney in LA, definitely, but Andrew Heaney in Colorado or Andrew Heaney in some other hellhole. No.
Yeah, I don't think there's no way Andrew Heaney is going to Colorado, no matter how much money they're misspending out there. So there's just no way. It would be career suicide for the guy. Well,
we've seen pitchers do it before.
Yeah. Maybe he thinks this will be the last big payday. And
he's already had so many injury histories. You just have to go whoever throws the most money at you.
That's true. Yeah. And what better way to spend your last few years in the major leagues than by spending them in ski resorts?
Yeah, of course. And just staring into the sky as the fly balls that are outs everywhere else are just dingers, and you have a 7.5 ERA.
Well, I figured he was going to stare into the sky because he was getting high all the time.
Oh, that too. Maybe that's what they should have their pitchers do before they start.
Get high.
Yeah, just go out there and throw, man.
make them numb to what's going to happen. Oh man, I'm trying this purple whoosh. Yeah,
and then like you could even market it as like the official brand of weed for the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah,
and then you sell it. And then the government gets their tax on it. Everybody wins.
Yeah, call it Purple Kush because it's the colors of the Rockies. Yeah, I tell you, right? Black and purple were my wedding colors.
Oh,
they were inspired by the Colorado Rockies, the uniforms. Yeah, honestly,
I'm surprised you didn't pick black and orange for the Baltimore Orioles.
Why would I do that? That's stupid.
Because they're your favorite team.
Well, we ended up going with gold, which is kind of similar, but I insisted on the purple. I wanted the purple color, but my wife, I think originally we were supposed to do black and silver.
And I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, but then we had to change venues. We went to a newer venue. Thankfully, the guy who owned the previous venue got us on a sweet deal to go check out his new venue that was still under construction. Then we find out that all the chairs are gold instead of silver. It's like, all right, well, let's change it to gold. All right, you change it to gold. I'm sticking with my purple vest here. And inspired by the Colorado Rockies. I got a couple more for you. Cal Quantrill or Ranger Suarez. I think I'm going to go with Suarez.
Yeah, Suarez.
Carlos Carrasco.
These are all just getting so meh.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. That's why I had Ranger Suarez as my 80th best pitcher on this list. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe we undersold Ranger Suarez. Maybe we should have reached for him.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, we messed up. The other guys, Casey Mize and Chris Paddock, they're out for injuries. Aaron Savali is I don't like him. I don't know what he does for the Guardians except show up every 5 games, I guess.
Yeah, just about.
Corey
I mean,
Kluber,
I really do think Aaron Savali, Zach Plesac, and Cal Quantrill are really just one person that they just put a different like facial hair and maybe give them a little like pump shoes or something like that, because I swear they have to be the same pitcher.
and somehow that's what led them to win the division over a team like the White Sox, who were actually throwing their best to. I'm not gonna get on that, because I'm gonna be mad if I do so. And I'm gonna wear my White Sox hat backwards because I'm ashamed of them right now. How are you gonna lose? How the hell are you gonna lose the division to Cal Quantrill, Aaron Savali, and Zach Plesac?
Hey, don't forget Justin Bieber, according to Bob Costas.
Justin Bieber, yeah.
I still can't believe he said that on live TV.
Yeah, that's why he's not doing the World Series, man. All right. The unsung hero, I think we mentioned him before, but we're going to mention him again because it's very slim pickings here for the Padres. A lot of their guys had awful series, with Austin Nola leading, not leading, I guess leading the charge of negative WPA win probability at negative 0.45. So every time Austin Nola came up to the plate, he was costing the Phillies half a game at least, right?
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm going to interpret it. Trent Grisham had an awful series. Manny Machado had an awful series. Will Myers, I don't know what Will Myers does anymore.
Well, Manny Machado had the 2 home runs. I think he was like the last out of their elimination game, and I know that kind of sometimes craters your WPA a little bit.
Yeah, he did have the 2 home runs, but he also went 5 for 21, 238 on base percentage. So not the best series for Manny Machado. Juan Soto did show up, so that proves once again that the trade did work. 0.57 WPA. But the guy we got to talk about is Brandon Drury, who has been a guy who's been in and out of our podcast. That's going to be one of those names in 2022 that when we look back, kind of like how we saw Josh Stallman in 2020, I believe, or 2019.
Yeah.
Where we were constantly mentioning his name. I think Brandon Drury is going to be that guy. Well, I'm always looking for those players who become kind of like not running jokes, but just kind of constants. What's that?
Okay, you have 3 seconds, not 30. How old is Brandon Drury?
He's 29.
Oh, well, he just turned 30. But I would have thought, like, I remember when he was on the Mets last year. Yeah, last year. I thought he was like already 34. And then someone's like, he's like, yeah, no, he's 28. And I was like,
I was shocked when I did my rankings. I always put the age number right next to their names just to make sure I don't get any old geezers on my team. And sure enough, there he is. It seems like he's been playing for a long, long time with like 20 different teams, but he just doesn't. I mean, he's a versatile player. I mean, he could play anywhere. You know, that's an advantage. I don't know if he could play shortstop, but he could definitely play some infield, third base, second base. I believe, and go in the outfield and stuff. So
I just don't know where he ends up next year.
Yeah, is he a free agent?
He is a free agent.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a market, especially now that COVID isn't that big of a restriction anymore like it was in the past. He should be able to get away with not being back. Maybe he'll go with the Blue Jays. That's what the Blue Jays need. They need him back, right?
Was he ever good with the Blue Jays though?
Well, he'll be good with them now. Shoot.
Oh, okay.
See what he did?
He was actually very bad for the Blue Jays.
That was back then, man. He was just learning on the job.
He wasn't as worse as he was with the Yankees. I remember when the Yankees acquired him, and everybody thought it was going to be a great trade. And then he had like the migraine vision problems, and that was just a complete non-starter.
Was he also with the Cardinals? No, I'm thinking about Brandon Ryan. Brandon Ryan was with the Cardinals, right?
No, Brandon Drury was Arizona for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And traded in the offseason. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Brandon Drury, same guy, but Drury has come up as having a little bit of pop in his bat this past season. And in this series, he had 1 home run with 5 RBI, 438 on base percentage, 0.51 WPA. And so that means there must have been a big moment. And yep, there it is.
It was ninth inning or
2 big moments, Sean. Game 2, bottom of the 5th, that's game tie 4-4, 2 outs, bases loaded, and Brandon Drury off of Brad Hand hits a single to center field, line drive to short center field, by the way. Profar scores, Soto scores, Cronenworth to third. Everything is looking good for the Padres after 2 games. Here we go. And obviously that didn't happen. But then we got another moment, game 4, top of the 1st. Padres already up ahead 1-0 with 2 outs, runners on first and second. Brandon Drury hits a double to center field off Bailey Falter.
Yeah,
Bell
can somebody just explain to me how the Phillies are in the World Series when Bailey Falter is starting key playoff games?
Brother, nothing makes sense about the Phillies, man.
It's funny because they've still hit for some power, but they've also just been like a super grindy offense where they've had some innings where they hit 2 home runs, and then like in game 1, they had the 3-run inning, which was all just base hits. They had this 2-run inning the next inning, which was all base hits.
Or what we talked about against the Cardinals, where it was a hit by pitch that
like that 9th inning snafu, like that. Yeah, that was
Alec Boehm's breakout in the playoffs started with him getting hit by a pitch. That's what.
Well, I wouldn't call it much of a breakout because what did he do in the CS? He did not have a good. He went 3 for 17.
Hey man, they'll always remember that hit by pitch, right? It was momentous. It was a momentum changer. Okay, off of the closer for the Cardinals. What's his name?
Helsley.
Ryan Helsley, more like in Helsley for the Cardinals fans.
He sent him to hell.
Sent him to Helsley. Yeah, but like I mentioned, it's like a stars and stripes situation. Their defense is awful, just as advertised. And what I've noticed here when I was doing my rankings for the Phillies, it's all about Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola at the very top. You get what you can from Ranger Suarez. We just talked about him. And the big momentum shift for them was in their bullpen. Remember that when we talked about the Phillies bullpen has been a joke for a while. They finished up in 19th. Oh no, that's 19 points. Sorry. But they were like kind of above average in bullpen according to FIP this past season. And that's all you need. Just somewhere a little bit above the middle of the pack and you should be good, because we've seen the Phillies bullpen in recent past, I should say, and they've just been atrocious. Hell, one in 2020, I think I saw Fangraphs write an article saying that this has got to be the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball history, in the entirety of Major League Baseball history that they did. So they were able to improve. They were able to figure out, what the roles are. Sir Anthony Dominguez, good. David Robertson, good. I mean, that might have been a big momentum change for them too, acquiring David Robertson as well. So yeah, Brad Hand,
Zach Eflin transitioning to the bullpen.
Zach Eflin, that's a very good point. And just give up on him being a starter. He's never going to be.
He's 100% in their starting rotation next year, because they got a $15 million option. And I think they have to keep that, and they have to put him back in the rotation. But this is definitely
this season.
Yeah, who was the starter who spent so much in the bullpen the last? Was it on the Dodgers? No.
Well, Kyle Gibson is listed in the bullpen as well, so they got him
it was a recent World Series champ. It wasn't on the Braves. Had to be the Dodgers.
What's the question again?
I think it was the 2020 Dodgers that had a starter in their bullpen that did a lot all year. And I can't remember who. Just keep continuing. I'm gonna try and find it.
Could have been Tony Gonsolin, but he was like a piggyback kind of thing. So was Dustin May. Anyway. But that's the Phillies. It's a very weird team. But again, that's what happens when you boil a 162 game season and you filter it. And it's now about what you can do in that 1 month stretch. And that's something we're going to talk about at the back end of the show as soon as we get done with these LCS wrap ups. So that's the National League. Let's go over to the American League. What's going on?
It was Alex Wood. Alex Wood had a really good postseason in 2020. After transitioning from the the rotation of the bullpen. But yeah, I just had to go find it. That was bugging me, but continue.
Did you mention the Padres pitcher?
It was Nick Martinez.
Oh, did you talk about him already?
I think we talked about him a lot last week. So
he
had another really good
8 strikeouts in 6 innings. Wow.
Yeah, in 3 appearances. I mean, he went out there and did what their starters could not do.
I think he's going to be a free agent too.
I think possibly. So. I think he signed a multi-year deal when he came over last offseason.
Okay,
we'll check as you continue.
I thought I saw his name show up. Anyway, let's move over to the
4-year, $25 million.
Oh, excellent! Good for them. Yeah, like I said, we talked about him last week. Go check him out. Houston Astros against the New York Yankees. Wow, it's Astros. I guess the big one is Jeremy Pena. That's an easy one. 2 home runs, 2 big home runs. This guy's been hitting big home runs all playoff series long. So not surprising. Who needs Carlos Correa when you got a Jeremy Pena, right? All they do is reload, no rebuild here. With a 353 on base percentage, 824 slugging percentage. So that must mean, since he basically carried the Astros into the World Series, that must mean he has some big hits. No, he did not. But I don't see his name on the top 10 list here. Nope. But either way, Jeremy Pena, we all know who he is. And he once again showed up in this American League Championship Series. Who is your Astros pitcher?
Astros pitcher is going to be, I think we talked about him last week, but I think it's Brian Abreu again. Appeared in 3 games, 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, only allowed 3 base runners. Ryan Presley also had a really good series. Almost 3 1/3 perfect innings, only allowed 1 walk. So yeah, they can get a tag team award there.
And for all the haters out there who were pissing on me because I mentioned that Framber Valdez would get my Cy Young Award vote. Let's see here. Framber Valdez, 7 innings pitch versus Justin Verlander, who only pitched 6 innings.
Only 6 innings.
Let's see. A whip, 0.571 for Framber Valdez. Verlander, 0.667. WPA, 0.26 for Valdez, 0.23 for Verlander. I don't know, man. To me, that looks like Cy Young material that's Cy Young material right there, Sean. Framber Valdez. It's not a joke. You don't know who he is. You need to get your eyeglasses checked. All right, let's see. Who was the big one? Oh my God, you're not gonna believe this. It's Harrison Bader.
Yeah, again. Harrison Bader just went kind of crazy.
You saw the Yankee fans complain about this deal with the Cardinals. Why would you do that? Where's Jordan Montgomery? We need him on our pitching staff. Blah 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 blah. Well, Harrison Bader. It's not Harrison Bader's fault that the Yankees lost. Once again, leading the team in win probability added. Another 2 home runs from him. Were there any big home runs? I don't think so because we have one. Sean, we have one. Here we go. Game 1, top of the second, scoreless game with 1 out. Harrison Bader off the great Justin Verlander hits a home run to deep left center field to put the Yankees up top 1-0, right? It's solo home run. 1-0. Heat's getting the ball rolling for the Yankees, and the Yankees look like they're going to make a series out of this in game 1. Obviously, that did not happen.
Psych.
Let's see. I don't know, man. Did Framber Valdez give up a home run against the Yankees? I don't think he did.
No earned runs in that series.
Interesting. But Valdez is not a Cy Young candidate. Interesting. Quite. Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of the Verlander versus Valdez talk really soon. You'll see. Who's your Yankees pitcher? I know it's slim pickings, but you got to pick one.
Yeah, there's basically nobody.
You want to talk about Miguel Castro. Just get out of the way.
But he wasn't even good this year. I like Miguel Castro, but nobody's ever going to figure him out. He's got the true 80 grade stuff in a command rating that goes anywhere from like 30 to 60. And you just have no clue which Miguel Castro you're getting that day. He's a guy that I wish the Mets didn't trade because I thought when he was with the Mets, he performed better than he did this year with it seemed like a kind of a step back for Miguel Castro this year.
Miguel Castro, I like that 80 grade fastball.
Yeah. We see Frankie Montas did appear in that series. 1 inning pitched. Probably one of the worst trade deadline acquisitions. And I did not like that deal from the start, especially with the injury concerns that were leading into that trade. Yeah. And ended up rearing its ugly head because, you acquire this guy and I'm not even sure if he made a start in the postseason. I think he just made a few bullpen outings, but no starts.
Yeah, I guess Jordan Montgomery would have been a key right there for him. But, guess what? Then again, Harrison Bader hitting 2 home runs every series. It's not easy being a Yankees fan, man. It's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
They suffer a lot. We'll move on to the World Series. Let's go. What do we do here? Let's talk about game 1, right? And obviously the Astros, we are done, right? Yeah, we talk about the Astros. Okay. We obviously, the Astros had 2 5-run leads late in the game, right? Well, not late in the game, but they got off to 2 quick 5-run leads in this series so far. They obviously blew a tire in game 1. And I'm just going to say this. Justin Verlander blew it for them in game 1. But you know who showed up big in game 2? Framber Valdez, proving once again that Framber Valdez is a legit American League Cy Young candidate. And guess what? He also threw over 200 innings this past season. You know who didn't get to 200 innings pitch this season? Justin Verlander. I rest my case. That'll take that, everybody who made fun of me for even mentioning that. But let's talk about it. Game 1, it looks like we're having some sort of argument about pitching philosophies, right, Sean? Because it looks like the Astros decided to just keep Verlander out there, and let him get out of the jams that he was getting himself into. And that ended up costing the Astros 5-run lead, as he's the one who gave up the 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. He did have 5 strikeouts, but yeah, he did not. He kind of faltered at the end, didn't he?
Was kind of shocked that none were on home runs. Because when Verlander struggled, usually, I mean, the very few times it's because it's kind of the whole like Max Scherzer effect, where they are willing to give up a solo home run because they're just going to attack the zone. But yeah, gave up 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 runs came around to score. Just not his best day, and it's becoming one of those weird Kershaw-esque things where he just does not pitch well in the World Series. I hate those sample size discussions. I think they're pointless to a degree, but yeah, just a observation.
Yeah, and that's. But we talk about them. We talk about we spotlight Kershaw more than we do Verlander. It's like Verlander has this like reverence about him that you can't touch him, you can't criticize him too much. But
well, it also felt like Kershaw had a really long gap in World Series appearances, compared to Kershaw, who was basically there every year.
That should tell you all you need to know, man. Kershaw gets you to the promised land, and Verlander, you never know where he is. You know, he's well, I mean, we know where he was last year. He was hurt. So, but you know who else struggled? It was not a very good game for aces here. Aaron Nola also struggled in this series.
Yep.
He
back
too
to
gave
back
up
bad starts.
5 earned runs. Remember, that was the big scary thing about the Phillies. Like, oh man, if you get stuck with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, you're in deep trouble. Oh man. And it ends up that maybe you're not as in trouble as you think you are. Maybe you do have a shot against these guys. Aaron Nola I don't think he throws like dominant stuff like he used to. I mean, last I checked, his fastball is averaging around low to mid 90s. Is that still the case with him or no?
Yeah, averaged about 93, adds a whole lot more, commands it much better. But he was actually the most valuable starting pitcher in MLB according to Fangraphs WAR.
Interesting.
Yeah, he had a sneakily good year. He went 11-13, and somebody told me like, "Oh, Aaron Nola's not that good." He went 11-13, and I was just like, "Oh," and he had a 4.6 ERA last year. And I've never been the biggest fan of Nola because the strikeouts were always kind of low for how people talked about him, but they've gone up the last few years. But yeah, someone's like, "Yeah, he had a 4.6 ERA. That's terrible. You're going to tell me this guy's good?" I was like, go look at the 2021 Phillies team defense.
Yeah.
And it was historically bad. His expected ERA in 2021 was 3.35. And he had a real 4.6 ERA. In 2020, the shortened season, 3.28 ERA with a 3.37 expected ERA. So nothing really changed, just about how bad his defense was. Career high BABIP last year as well, but really, really coming back this year.
Yeah. And like I said, not to shortchange Aaron Nola. I know that velocity isn't everything, but it does. I mean, you see it on this. I mean, you see the correlation of higher velocities, more dominant stuff, more strikeouts, but that doesn't mean that having a low 90s fastball, you can't be effective and efficient. Aaron Nola has proven that, but
and especially when you have an 80 grade breaking ball like Nola has, as long as you can command the fastball and you have something like that. Because even like Framber Valdez, I feel like doesn't light up the radar gun. I'm seeing average fastball of 94. It's just that curveball. I mean, what he does and 66% ground ball rate. He was the 10th most valuable pitcher according to WAR. The next highest ground ball percentage on that list is 53.4% from Sandy Alcantara. So it's just like that discrepancy there is absurd. I mean, Framber Valdez does something that I don't know when the last time it was. I mean, he literally 10% higher than second place, which was Logan Webb at 56.7%.
And once again, and this has been a complaint of mine with Framber Valdez, because every year it seems like, 2020 and 2021, I look at his StatCast sliders and they're mostly blue. This year you have some red, but still mostly blue. That usually indicates, wow, this guy can't be that good. So, and he just continues to defy conventional wisdom as to what we know about these StatCast figures, these advanced metrics and whatnot. And all he does is produce. And he did wonderfully. I mean, there was an at bat. I forgot who it was. It must have been against Rhys Hoskins, where Hoskins looked like he was baffled, and that was like the second or third time you've seen Valdez up there, where the sinker and the curveball are released at the same point. They get closer to the plate at the same what do you call it? Almost
Tunnel.
at the same location, tunnel,
Yeah.
yes. And then all of a sudden the sinker starts breaking away and the curveball starts breaking down. And it's a thing of beauty, man. It is a thing of beauty. And that you can see why Valdez, and they mentioned it last night on the telecast, that Valdez is basically a two-pitch guy with the sinker and curveball dominating, and half his strikeouts came on curveballs. And let's talk about game 2 then, if that's the case. Before we move on, one special note, Luis Garcia was the guy, after we kind of marveled at his performance against the Mariners in that 18-inning game. Luis Garcia was the guy who gave up the home run to
JT Realmuto. I thought it was interesting that they went straight to Luis Garcia, which I think they did the same thing in the Seattle game. Were they expecting him to go out there and just pitch until the game ended?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I noticed that as well. I had fallen asleep. I saw the 3-run fourth. And then I was like, oh, well, I mean, Houston's going to hold on. And I woke up the next morning and I see the JT Realmuto highlight and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Hits it to right field. You saw the Rhys Hoskins scissoring one of his teammates. I can't tell who it was, but there's the scissor. It's a wrestling thing. It's the new suck it for this young generation of wrestling fans. So I think you remember suck it.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Twitter discussion from some Twitter fantasy friends that somebody told the story that he had done the Gen X suck it in school and they suspended him for 5 days.
Yeah, well, he's about to get suspended for scissoring.
And I was like, that is hilarious. And they're like, what was it on the written suspension? And it was like inappropriate sexual behavior. And he's he's like in 5th grade. I'm just like, oh my God, like that just cracked me up reading that story. And I was like, oh, that principal had an axe to grind. Like,
so that was about 30 years ago, Sean. And 30 years later, you got the whole scissor thing. And it's the same guy who's in the middle of it. Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was involved in the whole suck it thing in the 90s, and now he's involved in that scissoring thing in the 2020s. So these old wrestlers, they somehow they find a way to be relevant in pop culture and getting kids in trouble.
Yeah.
But Luis Garcia, the other thing I wanted to mention about JT Realmuto was, remember, this is the guy that the Phillies made fun. Everybody made fun of the Phillies. Well, not everybody, but the criticism about JT Realmuto, I should say, is that you're going to sign a catcher who's already on the doorstep of the age 30 year seasons that he's about to embark. He's not going to age well. He can only be the best catcher for so long. He's going to break down. His defense can only take you so far because, again, eventually he's going to break down. The bat isn't going to be there. The speed's not going to be there because it's only going to break down. And he's the guy who ends up winning game 1 for the Phillies. And it's a lot of guys like that, right? Kyle Schwarber went 1 for 4 in game 1.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say it's not a big deal, but Kyle Schwarber's been, from what I remember, he's been hitting big home runs in the playoffs for the Phillies this whole time. So, and even Nick Castellanos got involved. He got an RBI in game 1 as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like I was probably in that JT Realmuto camp, at least as a Mets fan.
You might have been, yeah.
I worried about. I didn't want the Mets to sign a catcher to a 25 AAV, or to like 5 or 6 years. And there was a lot of rumor that Realmuto didn't want to come to New York. There's just a recent article released that right when free agency opened, New York was the first team that called him, and they were like, "We're interested in bringing you to New York." And he said, "Okay, sounds good to me. Let's my people talk to your people." And it just didn't really go very far. And of course, the Mets pivoted to McCann, which I also didn't like. But yeah, JT Realmuto kind of making me eat crow this year because really this was his best year. Because when you look at his career arc, he went from very underrated to, in my opinion, kind of overrated, and then it came back down because like he was a low OBP guy. He had some good. He posted 480, 450, 490 in that realm in terms of slugging percentage. But when you looked at the batted ball data, it never really clicked. Granted, him going to Philadelphia, I was like, okay, maybe that power becomes a little bit more consistent there. But yeah, at age 31, JT Realmuto had his best season at 6.5 Fangraphs WAR. Hit 22 home runs, stole 21 bases at 31. That's a career high. I mean, because he had speed, in the past, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 steals. But 21, I don't think he was caught one. He was caught once. He had a little bit of a streak going there. But yeah, JT Realmuto kind of shut me up. That doesn't make me think that if I had to go back and do it again, I still wouldn't invest that much money.
Well, maybe the Mets would be in the World Series by now. So yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're not. We're not that lucky.
I don't know, man. You got to break your own luck, and a part of it. And that's what I tell White Sox fans when they were like, "I'm okay. We don't get Bryce Harper. Who cares how we didn't get Manny Machado?" Well, we saw in the last NLCS series that just passed, Bryce Harper led the Phillies to the NLCS.
And what did Manny Machado do?
And same thing. Hell, Manny Machado is the reason everybody knows who Fernando Tatis is. Like maybe 3 years before he was supposed to be up in the major leagues, and the Padres were supposed to milk the crap out of that. What do they call the service clock? Machado that offseason said, "No, we need Tatis up. I will gladly move to third base if we let Tatis go to shortstop right now as a 19-year-old." And obviously, that didn't work out too well for the Padres this year because Tatis was nowhere to be found. But that's what a big name free agent does for your franchise. It turns, especially when they're that young, but especially when they're that young, right? And they turn around the franchise. They set the tone for the franchise, and it kind of pressures the teams. Hey, we got to win now. Look, and I mentioned Kyle Schwarber because he was a big bat for the Phillies in this playoff. Hell, he got a stolen base on game 1. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know as to how serious that they're trying to win in Bryce Harper's window.
This year, he actually, in this postseason, in 13 games, he has 3 home runs and 3 stolen bases.
Oh my God, he's oh Jesus!
So, in 2022 as a whole, he stole 10 bases, which is more than he had 1, 2, 4, 8, 9. He had 12 stolen bases in his career going into 2022, and then stole 10 this year.
And that has something to do with the manager for the Phillies.
Only caught once, Rob Thompson.
That must be a thing with him. He must be. I think that's another reason why fans love this Phillies team is because of. I mean, you got a catcher who's still 21 stolen bases this year. I think he has something. He must have something to do with the aggressive style and the base pads, and it might have something to do with Bryce Harper being hurt for such a long time with the elbow issues. So maybe if Harper's not there, then you definitely got to do some sort of old school type of play style there. But Schwarber's involved, and he was a big name free agent that was signed this past offseason. Nick Castellanos again, not the best of seasons, but it's all there to build around Bryce Harper. And then you mentioned JT Realmuto. So all the big name free agents are here, and they are instrumental to getting the Phillies this far with a bunch of other no-name failed. I'm going to call them failed prospects for now because they're not living up to the hype. They're not Fernando Tatis, I can tell you that much. They're not 19-year-old Fernando Tatis. But you know what? They're here. They're tangible. And Tatis is at home watching all these games. At least we think he is, and not doing something else. And, Brandon Marsh. Come on, Brandon Marsh. We talked about him all the time, and he is such trash. I don't get it. But he did drive in an RBI last night, which let's get to it right now before we forget. But yeah, that's the Phillies. Sometimes you just have to go open up the checkbooks and, just be pot committed and go all in. Because if you just stay in the stands, look at the White Sox. They failed on Harper. They failed on Zach Wheeler. I don't care what Zach Wheeler says about staying on the East Coast. If the White Sox would have gave him a gargantuan amount of money, Zach Wheeler would be a White Sox player right now. Manny Machado, they did everything they could to get his family involved and get
John Jay,
Yonder Alonso, and Manny Machado said, "Nah, I'm still gonna go with the money." And you know what? San Diego's a lot more sunny. You're gonna have to pay me a lot more to play in Chicago. I'm sorry. That is a part of being a successful front office is not just trying to get free agents, but actually locking them up and getting the deals done. And anyway, just talking about this goddamn team just pisses me off. Same thing happened in game 2 with the Astros getting off to a hot start, up to a 5-0 lead. And this time around, the Phillies had no answers. Who was the Phillies starter? Zach Wheeler. Oh, we just talked about him. Yeah. Okay, so this says no, Zach Wheeler. Good thing the White Sox didn't sign him. He's trash. But yeah, 4 earned runs. Gave up a home run. Not the greatest of starts for him. And then of course for the Astros, Framber Valdez was dealing out there, proving once again that he's a true ace on that Haitian Astros team. So Any thoughts on the pitching matchups there, Sean?
Well, Zach Wheeler's always been a guy that if you're going to get to him, you got to get to him early.
Yeah.
And of course, they had the 3 straight doubles to start the game. And then he kind of locked it in, didn't give up any runs, second, third, fourth, and then gave up the home run to Bregman before finishing the inning and getting out of there. But I mean, it's true what they say about the great starting pitchers. If you're going to get to them, you got to get to them early, and they got to Wheeler early. So
yeah, well, it helps when you have trash cans and lasers and buzzers helping you know what pitch is
laser
coming,
beams on their head.
Yeah,
to quote Dr. Evil there.
Let's see. Anybody steal bases? No. Nick Castellanos had a double, and I'm thinking the sliding catch that was in game 1. So, and that's where the buzzers comes from because he's actually stripped.
And buzzer, and I saw that.
I thought was pretty lame, but
yeah, I thought it was kind of one of those like, okay, like you suck this year.
Who are you? And listen,
like we can tell you're not wearing a buzzer.
And Castellanos has always been a guy who's just very emotional out there. He's one of those guys who when you tell him, when he says that he would play this game for free, he's not lying. He definitely would go out there and play for free. The other thing I noticed about Philly fans complaining about Castellanos is how he swings at every pitch. Sorry to break this to you guys, but that's his MO. He's a hyper aggressive pitcher, but he makes enough hyper aggressive hitter, but he makes enough contact to where it doesn't really matter.
Well, he used to.
Maybe he needs to go back to that approach. But 2 strikeouts for Nick Castellanos in game 2. He couldn't figure out Framber Valdez, I guess.
Yeah, he's got a 58 WRC plus in the postseason. It's okay, Nick. We can tell you're not wearing a wire because you're walking 3.8% of the time, striking out 23%, batting 220. We know you're not wearing a buzzer. It's okay.
Brandon Marsh did not get the start in this game because of the lefty Valdez, but
Matt Vierling.
Yeah, Matt Vierling. And I could have sworn I thought I saw Valdez get an RBI single, but did they call that an error on what's his name, Yuli Gurriel then? Because
I think it was a fielder's choice.
Oh, okay. Well, fielder's choice not to field that cleanly.
Well, no, he has a 1 earned run on the stat line, so I don't know who exactly had it up. Valdez.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Gene Segura had a sac fly, but that was against Rafael Montero. So there must have been grounded into a double play, maybe Harper Vierling. That might have been it.
Well, I know Brandon Marsh hit a sharp grounder to first base, and it went off of Gurriel's heel of the glove, and he was able to drive in a run that way. But it must have been unearned, like you said.
Well, no, it was earned, but you don't get an RBI. It counts as an earned run, but the batter doesn't get an RBI. So Matt Vierling in the 5th inning, ground ball, double play, shortstop, second base, first base. So a run must have scored there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks for explaining. But it would have been at that time, and like you're thinking to yourself, oh, here we go again. The Astros are about to blow a 5-run lead, but that team is so damn good. There was no way in hell that was going to happen. Jose Altuve had the big game, and you saw a post in Baseball Life saying, "Hey guys, don't call me crazy, but I think we're honestly seeing Jose Altuve becoming the greatest second baseman of all time." And that guy got torched in that post.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely can enter the conversation, but there's just so many, like, historically.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Morgan will always be, statistically speaking, Joe Morgan's going to be a hard guy to catch up to. And Altuve, he'll be lucky if he gets into top 10 at this point, especially with all the things that have happened, even intangibly, all the things that happened to him in 2017 and the weird.
See, I don't think that'll affect him much, if at all. I don't think it will.
Maybe not for the Hall of Fame, but in terms of that whole public opinion thing, where
the court of public opinion, that's
gonna torch him. Which for some it doesn't matter, but that's gonna be a conversation. Who's the greatest second baseman, and how are you gonna leave off Jose Altuve? The Astro fans are gonna say, and then here comes the laundry list. And you can also mention that the home run spike midway through his career is also very suspect. And the buzzer and the trash cans and the cheating and this and that.
Yeah, he's currently at 48.5 WAR. That places him right in front of Ian Kinsler and behind Johnny Evers.
As a Cub fan, I'm always going to go with Johnny Evers. Yeah. You
have Jeff Kent and Jackie's at 57.2 WAR, Jeff Kent at 56.0 WAR, Cano at 58, but he has his own problems. Utley at 61, Willie
Yeah.
Randolph at 62 WAR. Joe Morgan at number 4 at 98. Yeah, so Rogers Hornsby is the last one at 130, and Eddie Collins and Knapp. So yeah, definitely never catching those guys, but if he's at 48 now, he could catch the group of maybe Biggio, Alomar, Randolph, Utley, Sandberg.
Yeah, I'm not
I think he might end up in that group.
I'm not putting Altuve over any of those guys. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. I don't care how far he gets. There's in like Felipe's eye test thing. I am not putting Altuve ahead of those 3 guys you just mentioned. Sorry. What was I going to say? And yeah, when I say Joe Morgan's the best second baseman, yeah, I usually look at stats from the integration era on. Those are the ones that I memorized. So that's what I meant. Since 1947, Joe Morgan's the best second baseman that ever lived. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna dispute the greatness of Rogers Hornsby, Eddie Collins, and who's the other guy? Nap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nap Lashaway. I mean, yeah, the reason Ty Cobb didn't win more batting titles was because Nap Lashaway was in his way. So
yeah, since the mound was lowered, Jose Altuve ranks 12th. Ahead of some interesting guys, ahead of, like I said, Kinsler, Dustin Pedroia, Ben Zobrist, Alfonso Soriano, Brandon Phillips is way down there, Brian Roberts. These are some fun names.
Yeah,
I remember when these guys, like, they didn't have long peaks, but when they peaked, they were the 99 overalls in the video games.
Let's see here. Oh, okay. I just saw your message. Yeah, I know that we have one more topic of discussion. Well, really quick. I know you're not feeling well, but how do you see the rest of this series going in Philadelphia from here on out?
I have a $20 bet for Astros in 5.
Okay, so they're gonna run the gauntlet. I could see that happening, or I could see them winning in 6. I think the Astros are just way too deep. We talked about all the deficiencies for the Phillies, and we've been marveling at what the Astros have been doing all year long. They have great starting rotation. They got Luis Garcia coming out of the bullpen, notwithstanding that home run he gave out to Real Muto, and not to mention all the other guys who have made the Astros one of the great bullpens of the season, and they're just solidly built as well. Meanwhile, it sounds like the Phillies, if game 2 is an indicator of what the rest of the series is going to go from here on out, they might have reached their full potential out of this roster. And go ahead.
Yeah, to me, they needed to win both of those first 2. That was their chance. Now they go in. You have Syndergaard starting tomorrow. That'll be a bullpen game. He'll maybe go 3 innings if he makes it through the lineup without giving up, too much damage. McCullers hasn't had a great postseason. He had a bad start last time around.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the soft underbelly of the Philadelphia Phillies when you go into bullpen games against elite offenses in the World Series. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's also not, good for you. And then Ranger Suarez slated to start the next time. And then Wednesday, I think you would maybe see Nola on short rest if need be, if it's still going. So, it's going to be close. I think after splitting the Nola Wheeler, this is the Houston's going to feast on because unless like Philadelphia just bashes them like they did against San Diego, where they just hit. And they have like 3-4 guys, Hoskins, Harper, Real Muto, and then there's the Schwarber. Like if all 4 of those guys have like 5, 6, 7, 8 hits in the series, they have a chance. But the likelihood of that happening is just
it is Citizens Bank ballpark. So that's their ballpark. That's they can mash in there and give fists to a guy like that.
So can the Astros.
And so can the Astros because, apparently they cheat on the road too, apparently. So Lance McCullers versus Syndergaard, I think I'll take McCullers in that game. And then November 1st, World Series in November, man. It's still weird. Like you mentioned, Ranger Suarez is slated to be the game 4 matchup. And the Astros are to be determined. Who would the Astros be able to pull in there? Jose Urquidy, maybe?
Yeah, Urquidy. Sorry.
Oh man, you really are tired.
Yeah,
I know. I just saw your message. Like, man, this guy. Yeah, Christian Javier.
Yeah. It's probably a Javier game. Javier's probably after McCullers.
Yeah, and then, let's say they go Urquidy game 4. You put Javier in game 5, and who's he gonna play? What against a short rested Aaron Nola? I'm sorry.
Yeah, or Javier in Philly kind of scares me, but at the same time, like Javier, it's an embarrassment of riches. It's just absolutely an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, we talked about it. And then what? The Phillies will go with Kyle Gibson one of these games if they
I
need
mean,
to.
he hasn't really been starting. He's just been coming out of the bullpen.
Oh, so he's well rested. No, no, it's they're screwed. I let's great run. I'm not gonna take that away from them. Great run in October, but I'm sorry if you gun to my head and if my baby's life is in danger, and the only way that it's gonna save her is if the Houston Astros run the gauntlet and win the next 3 games, or not the next week, but just get to 4 games, win 4 games. I'm gonna put my money on the Astros and have them win this World Series. It's just I just cannot go against what I see, and what I see is that the Astros are better from top to bottom. And if the Phillies win, it's going to be based more on luck than skill. But go ahead.
And you're going to have Ranger in Great American Ballpark, and I think we kind of forget sometimes how good they're. Just the lineup, the position players for Houston. You have some notorious lefty killers that really haven't done much in the postseason. I think McCormick has a home run, but he's a lefty killer. Trey Mancini, Jose Altuve, of course, Yuli Gurriel, and even like Mauricio Dubon. Like Mauricio Dubon could come out of nowhere and have like a 3-hit game with a couple of stolen bases. Like that's the wonderful thing about playoff baseball is you just never know what's going to happen.
And with that, I know you're tired. We are already an hour in. Did you have one thing to fix Major League Baseball, or you want to save it for another show?
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's just finish. I know my throat is hoarse anyway. You sound like crap.
I'm faking it.
And this would take another 30, 45 minutes to discuss anyway. So we should probably do a standalone show on how to fix Major League Baseball. I'll just say this. You get rid of the divisions, get rid of the leagues, I should say. No. Get rid of it all. Have every team face each other 5 games per season.
Round robin.
You have a round robin, just like they do in Europe with the soccer teams. They have a double round robin regular season tournament. You make that a key of importance. And then at the end, you play this playoff month, right? Because that's what matters anyway for most people. But you got to find a way to be able to award these teams who actually give a shit about playing and winning games in the regular season. And because they do. The Dodgers, we talk about this all the time. And the Astros too, but the Dodgers are like the best organization in all of baseball right now, top to bottom. Every team should try to be more like the Dodgers and less like the Phillies, where the Phillies are a complete mess and they're just getting lucky this time of year.
And that's the thing with Dave Dombrowski is yes, he's done this historic thing where he takes 4 teams to the World Series, 2 from each league, but at every single time he's left the organization in shambles. Yeah. And this year, he goes for the throat and tries to win. But the Phillies only had 1 top 100 prospect in baseball this year, and they traded it for Brandon Marsh.
And the catcher,
Logan O'Hoppe.
Yeah, that's
that it's. I mean, yes, they made it to the World Series, but unless they win, even if they win, I mean, it's a kind of a thought process, a process-based decision-making model that maybe it's very aggressive, and you might win, but it sets you back really long term if you don't have the financial capacity to kind of float like the Dodgers did when they quote unquote rebuilt. I mean, when they rebuilt, they added how many hundreds of millions in payroll they brought in guys like Adrian Gonzalez and I remember I think Josh Beckett was there too, Carl Crawford. Yeah. But while they got everything behind the scenes figured out, they brought in these guys that were considered bad contracts. Are the Phillies willing to do that? Is Middleton willing to do that? I don't think so.
No, and I think the issue here is that as long as Bryce Harper's there and you're committed to Bryce Harper, you have to go this route.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you just have to pretend that you don't have a farm system to cultivate, that there's no farm system to take care of. You gotta be able to hit on these prospects. I don't care on these amateur draft picks too, and these international signings. I don't know what the deal is, but you can't just say, oh, well, we're just going to sign Major League Baseball players left and right. I mean, good for you. You're doing that, but there's something incomplete about your franchise if that's what you're depending on. And there's something incomplete about your franchise if the big 2 big prospect names show up and they're just underwhelming, and Alec Baum and Bryson Stott and who knows how many other guys they brought up recently. And even their bullpen is just a bunch of veterans on that team, in which I guess that's every bullpen, but that's kind of concerning that you don't have at least one or two guys that were failed starters, but you were able to convert into relief pitchers. No, you're just still plucking away from other teams and hoping that something good happens for you. And eventually that runs out. I mean, look at the White Sox. I always say the White Sox are basically the Phillies of the AL Central.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Except that the White Sox are cheaper than the Phillies. So. But there has to be something that goes back to my conversation. There has to be something where the regular season has to matter. It can't just like, oh, we're all playing for October, because the Dodgers have proven time and time again that the way they build their team is built for a 162 game season. Of course, October is a different beast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Last I checked, 162 games is this big, and a 5-game series should not be able to dictate your entire season. There has to be some sort of happy balance with the regular season matters and as well. And I even thought about, hey, maybe you can have like European soccer where you have a regular season champion, you have the playoff champion, and then if it's two separate teams, have them play in a neutral site, have it like the Super Bowl of World Series baseball, whatever you want to call it. Have it on a neutral site, have fan bases, one game, winner take all. And I'll go into more detail next time. But yeah, I don't see why that can't be a thing in Major League Baseball. I think basically to say you need to have something to welcome Major League Baseball into the 21st century, because this old way of doing things, it's getting stale, it's getting stupid, and it doesn't matter anymore. There's no league distinctions anymore. Everybody has a DH. Everybody's going to face each other at least once. You might as well turn it into something that's massive. Combine the ideas and concepts from European soccer and college football, like the whole annual home and home series that I'm thinking of that they should implement here, where the Red Sox go into Yankee Stadium this year, but next year the Red Sox will have to defend their home turf for 5 games. If the concern about having the divisions is the scheduling and the road travel, hey, if you tell a team that they're going to stay 5 days in a city, that's a lot easier than telling a team we're going to travel to 4 towns in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. You got to start thinking outside the box. I think this is a perfect way. It'll keep interest going. Regular season will matter again. And the playoffs will be its own separate entity. And at the end, you might have a Super Bowl championship game to play, winner take all kind of situation. Who is opposed to that? Everybody, apparently.
Yeah, but I think the main thing that happens is we've already seen the playoff expansion this year. I think that parlays into MLB has future plans to expand the league. I could very much see a shortened season. You bring it down to like 140.
Yeah.
And 142, whatever you have to do. And instead of having a 3-game wildcard series, a 5-game division series, and a 7-game championship series and World Series, I think you could just see straight 7s.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I don't like this
because I feel like the 7 series, and I'm not saying this as a Mets fan. Like the Mets were established to win whether they played in a 3-game series, 5-game series, or 7-game series. They just didn't perform. Right. But I think the MLB playoffs have always been random. You have the unlikeliest of heroes, which we've spent the last 2 weekends talking about. David Eckstein, Yadier Molina, like when he was a babe.
Mark Lemke.
Yeah, Mark Lemke. Mark freaking Lemke, man. And if you're trying to take the randomness out of it, save them some regular season games, make the All-Star break a little bit longer, make their maybe spring training start a little bit later. I don't know exactly where you kind of fix in these off days.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do something like expand on All-Star game. Like instead of just a weekend, like you have an entire week, like long period of, red carpet, whatever.
Rest, celebration of the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
Have more events.
Present your awards from the prior year there. Like, I don't know, like you can market it. But all in all, I see the league on the whole expanding. I see regular season being shortened. I see the playoffs being lengthened. Whether that they add another 2 teams, I doubt. I think that they want to. Though. I think they did this. I don't know. It's close. I think that's an argument for next CBA. Depending on how the CBA plans out, and it's often optimistic of me to assume that we're going to have baseball in 6 years. But I think that's the best solution. There is expand the playoffs. Like playoff baseball is what everybody loves.
But you should also reward the teams who are
Yeah, for sure.
doing what they can. I mean, and you know what, the other issue I had, another, and I know I've said, well, let's talk about it next time, but now we're talking about it now, is you got to redo that stupid trophy you got there, and you retire it, send it off to the sunset or shoot it in the back. I don't know, but
look at the flowers.
Look at the flowers. Yes, I was just thinking. Look at the flowers. Okay.
Look at the flowers, Rob Manfred.
And then you see 30 flags just fly up in the air, and I guess flags don't fly forever. Actually, they do for a short amount of time. But no, you revamp the trophy, right? And again, it goes back. You have a regular season trophy, and you have to put prestige on it. Name it after a famous old timey baseball player. I don't know which one. Just pick one, because you got to add that prestige to it, to the regular season.
I mean, that's why they even do that in the minor leagues. I mean, where you have the first half champion, you have a second half champion, then you have your playoff champion.
Yeah.
Granted, they do that for a variety of reasons with promotions, demotions, stuff like that. But they make a big thing out of it. And
they did that in 1980 or 81 playoffs as well, where they had the first half champ and the second half champ. But that was because it was a strike shortened season. But regardless, it's been done before, where baseball does adapt to its surroundings. But my thing would be, you put it this way: you name the damn trophy after Cal Ripken Jr. and his big ass streak, or name it after Lou Gehrig. Somebody, just to show that you're not gonna take this Lou Gehrig trophy for endurance of a 150 game season, regular season, most victories. You're gonna spit in the face of Lou Gehrig's legacy. No, and make sure these players get a big bonus for winning the damn regular season championship. Then you go to the playoffs, get another trophy in there, name it after some guy, name it after Derek Jeter. I don't care. I don't even like Derek Jeter, but you want to play into November, name it after Mr. November. And that's how so now we're playing for a trophy named after a Yankee player and another trophy. It's another Yankee player.
Imagine the Red Sox win the World Series.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it's going to survive till next season. It's going to come back with doodles drawn on it. Oh, doodles is a very age-appropriate thing to say on what would possibly be drawn on that. So,
and then there was the idea of having a neutral site, having more neutral site games. That idea came in the 2020 World Series, where the Dodgers and the Rays played, and all the games were in Texas, in that brand new ballpark of theirs. And
then somebody played in San Diego. There's a series played in San Diego as well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because I think San Diego had already gotten eliminated, and they still stayed in San Diego.
Oh, that's pretty. Oh, because of the schedule.
Yeah,
that is fun baseball, man. But here's the thought, man. Somebody wrote an article about that. Like, you know what? I know this is just a one-time thing with the Rays and the Dodgers playing at a neutral site, but they should be doing this at a neutral site, where you especially in a warm weather city, where you can have fans flock towards that town and watch. Again, celebration of baseball for 7 days straight, and it becomes like a Super Bowl atmosphere. But unlike the Super Bowl, you got a game every single day. There's no waiting period. I mean, you might have a day off here and there, but no more waiting periods, no more blaming the weather, no more rain delays, especially if you play in a warm weather city like they do in the NFL. And hell, you may even be able to take this globally. It might actually be a World Series played in Japan or at the Tokyo Dome. Wow. Tokyo Dome World Series baseball with two American teams. Is that too much?
That might be a little much.
Tokyo Dome is, again, because I'm a wrestling fan, the Tokyo Dome is like a hollow ground. Imagine playing baseball at the Tokyo Dome against the two best teams in the entire world for this playoff series. But if you don't want to do that, again, regular season champ versus the playoff champ, have them play at neutral site. You want to put that one in Paris, France, and get the and get the French people excited about baseball, then listen, man, the point is that there's so many ways you can go about this. If the point is to draw more attention from the world, this is the way you do it. Because you know what, Sean, you gotta be able to do something that they understand. Oh, I get it. It's the regular season champion versus the playoff champion, and this is like
okay, parlez-vous français.
And at the end, this is kind of like the UEFA Super Cup. They do that.
You went very French to very German there. I hear that accent a lot at the plant. So,
hey, listen, brother. If it's European, it's gonna be the Germans have to be involved as well. They have to.
So the series I was thinking of was Tampa versus New York in Petco, and then the Astros and A's played at Dodger Stadium, and then the Dodgers and Padres played at Globe Life in Arlington. and the Braves and Marlins played at Minute Maid in Houston.
Wow.
And then Houston and Tampa played at Petco. Dodgers and Braves played at Globe Life, and World Series was at Globe Life. That was, oh my God, I forgot how much of a shit show the 2020 playoffs are.
Everybody played at Globe Life except for the Texas Rangers, apparently. Anyway, I could talk about this all day, but it's been an idea that's been brewing in my head. If I were the commissioner of baseball, these are changes I would make. And of course I would have to deal with the union, but I think you kind of draw it up where the union would have to see the benefits highlighted. Less travel, more fair competition. You are going to get compensated for all these games you're going to play very well. I don't know, man. To me, it's a win-win situation, and in the end, everybody wins, including the fans as well. And again, baseball in the 21st century, let's make it happen.
Because I hear so many people complain about just like, oh, the expanded playoffs. Like so many people complain about it. So many people.
Everybody complaining about it.
But nobody's complaining when we're watching the game. When we have more baseball to watch. And then people are like, oh, they should just go back to when, the two teams, like there were only two divisions and the two division winners faced each other. And I'm like, shit, while we're at it, let's just go back to when we played one World Series. There was no other playoffs. Like people like they say, oh, let's go back and do it like this. I'm like, that's not how sports work. Yeah. Like we go forward. And I mean, a lot of people complaining about the new rules, which I'm not a fan of all of them. But you got to try something.
You got to try something,
Well, no other sport says you can't play defense there. Yeah, they do. I mean, it's frustrating.
And again, these ideas, the NBA is already trying to implement that kind of European style of play. With there's a in-season tournament, and they want to do the playoffs at the end, and you still gonna have to do some sort of emphasis on the regular season because the regular season for the NBA is a shit show. Do you want Major League Baseball to turn into the NBA? No, you don't.
Load management. We would never see Mike Trout play.
Same thing with the NHL. The NHL, I mean, you can have the most dominant team there, and when the Stanley Cup playoffs are, it's a complete crapshoot, and the people love that stuff. But that just means that the first 82 games of the regular season are meaningless, and everybody's just lapping around each other to get healthy for the summer playoff. And well, the NFL is the king, so bad. That's a bad comparison. But yeah, all these others, maybe not the NHL, but even the NHL. Honestly, the NHL has done radical realignments more than anybody, and that was because the players complained about the travel.
Yeah, I think that's when the league does expand. I'm not sure if they'd wait for 2 teams or 4 teams. I don't know, but I do think when there's expansion, it will be there's going to be another realignment.
And listen, man, if your goal is to go worldwide, you best damn well adopt my style, my plan here, where you stay at a city for 5 games, and then you have a travel 5 games in Paris. How about that? 5 games in London. I know that's like sacrilegious, but if the idea is to go worldwide and it's to expand, this would be the model to capture everybody. Round robin regular season.
We've had a few series in London the last couple of years, though, haven't we? Like the Yankees and Red Sox went over there. I follow a lot of UK baseball people on Twitter. They're really good. They're really good folks.
Okay.
And they are just like, when MLB TV kind of snuck it under from them that you weren't going to be able to watch the playoffs on MLB TV, which they've been able to the last 5 years or however long. And then they changed at the last second that they'd have to pay for like their local cable or sports package that carries American sports over there. And people went nuts.
Oh yeah. That's a bad move.
Yeah. And there is a market over there. There really is. And like I said, I interact with them every now and then. Shout out to Peter Pratt from UK Marlins. Might be the most optimistic person I've ever met. As a Marlins fan, I mean, Marlins
you have to be. You have to be.
He's been. They've acquired Brian Reynolds about 7 times by now in Peter's head. But and this week, and I got to give him the extra shout out for this. But he was like, Brandon Nimmo is really good, and I was like, thank you.
But there is a back and forth though. Just like baseball is big over there, guess what? The English Premier League is pretty damn big here in the States too. So I think if you're gonna do this, you got to do it right. You can't just stick with the same plan. Like, oh, we're gonna have the 162 game season. No, you gotta shorten it and expand the playoffs or something, make it, I don't know. You gotta give something, you gotta give the people what they want. You gotta give something that the people are gonna be interested in. And like I said, and it's a good point you make as well, that these federations, these big sports entities, they change the rules a lot for the sake of improving the game. You know what game doesn't change a lot whatsoever? Soccer.
Yeah.
And guess what?
VAR.
Yeah, even they have implemented some technology into their sports, so nothing stays forever.
Hey,
And,
they've evolved it. According to dodgeball, it used to be human heads. That's a lot of evolving. It just took a longer.
well, if you want to do evolving of style of play, I mean, what with the English team for the World Cup, they were applauded for trying to implement some what the hell is it called? Some basketball plays into their set pieces where picks were being set up to free up certain players so they can get easy goals. So that was the big talk. So there's already some change. It's slow, but it's changing. If soccer can change, my thing is, if soccer can change anything can, because soccer is that evolves like some molasses. Anyway, we could talk about this all day long, but I got to get going. Yep. Sean, any last words from you before I let you go?
No, it's been another good weekend. Love it.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Award show. You ready? I know Austin did his awards yesterday, not last night, yesterday, live. I'll have to check that out, see who he picked, compare and contrast a little bit. But we got the big award show coming next Sunday. I think or I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if not next Sunday, the Sunday after that, because World Series should be over by then, right? I think that's how it works.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, we'll discuss some more. For Sean, I am Felipe. We'll see you later.
Adios, guys.